All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live here on Office Hours. This is a show about the current state of real estate. Every week, we are talking something important about the business of real estate, whether it's marketing, whether it's your fear or misunderstanding of Zillow, whether it's rules and regulations, legal challenges, we cover it all. So guys, if you've never been here as part of Office Hours, let me introduce myself. My name is Chris Donaldson, and you are in my office. And this week, I am super excited to welcome a special guest. I am super excited about our topic this week. But one thing real quick for those of you that have may never been to Office Hours before, and the reason we do it live, I want to make sure that you guys understand that we do it live so that you can bring us your questions. That's right. The second half of the show is all Q&A brought to us by you. So if you'd like to ask a question, let me explain to you where you can find us in order to get your question on the show. The first place, and my favorite, is on Twitter. Simply ask your real estate question, use the hashtag Office Hours, and we will find it there. Number two, you're watching live on the YouTube stream. Simply use the comments, either on this side or this side, depending on if you're on mobile or desktop. Put your question right in the comments. Or third, you can email your question directly to me, chris@christalks.com. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce this week's guest and introduce why we're talking about video marketing here on a live video stream. Her name is Kara MacDonald, or what I like even better is your favorite title lady. Now, it's kind of a funny story how we got to know each other. We met at a social media marketing and online marketing and branding convention. And Kara, you'll have to remind me. I was trying to think about it today, what session we were in. But somehow, some way, the subject of real estate came up on the microphone in one of these sessions. And Kara said something. And just like me, as a networker, I heard real estate, I heard marketing, and I ran over and immediately introduced myself to her. And we got off to a great conversation talking about the state of real estate branding and marketing and so on. So, Kara, your favorite title lady, why don't you go ahead and take a moment and introduce yourself to the Office Hours audience?
Wow, you are a great speaker on this here. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. My name's Kara MacDonald, and I'm in the DC metro area. And I call myself your favorite title lady because I work for a title company. It's called Pruitt Title. It's a local title company. And on the East Coast, we don't have like the big ones like you guys all work under, First American or Fidelity. There's a lot of independent small title companies on the East Coast, and I work for one of them. Been there for about 4 years doing marketing, and I fell into marketing. It's really an interesting story, but my passion is education. I noticed immediately when I started meeting with real estate agents from the beginning that there was a real lack of good education out there and guidance. You know, you guys are thrown into this class, this rigorous however many hours per your state requires, and then thrown out to the wolves with no real guidance unless you're lucky enough to have a really good broker with some good education, which unfortunately is not as often. You don't see that as often as you should. So I met you, Chris, at Social Media Marketing World. It was awesome. I have no clue what session we were in. All I know is that I was asking a question in Q&A, and I didn't want to take up too much time, and it's kind of hard to explain all that at a social media convention. So I just said real quick that I'm in real estate. And I think our passions, we were attracted to each other because we are both passionate about education. So that's what I heard when you came up to me, and I think you heard me say that and kind of felt that. So we have kind of a synergy that way. So I'm really happy to be here tonight.
Absolutely. No, that's right. And now you remind me, you actually went to the mic and made a comment or asked a question. And of course, listen, education, it's obviously my line of work. It's what I believe in. But more importantly, what's everything is what you just said. Listen, I own and operate as the CEO, Director of Instruction, the largest real estate school in the Gulf South. And what I can tell you is it's absolutely true. Once the regulatory hurdle is over, so you pass the exam, you do your post-licensing or whatever it is, then there's the big next step. And that's the one that I'm the most passionate about, because regulatory education has its place, but it's not going to help you fill that funnel. It's not going to help you find clients. It's going to help you understand maybe how to do a CMA better, fill out a contract better. So tonight, we're going to talk about one of my favorite issues, which is video, and why it's so crucial to the modern real estate agent. So if you guys that watch Office Hours regularly, or if this is your first time again, please make sure you give us comments, questions, whether it's related to the topic at hand or not. We are so ready to talk to you. And so when it comes to video, I'd like to set it up this way, Kara. We talked about it a little bit before, but I think it's really important for everybody to understand that the internet has evolved, and it continues to evolve at a faster and faster pace. And at one time, it was all about the blog and the written word, and that was everything. And then it became all about images and the visual web, and you had to have pretty pictures and images on everything. And then came video and how important that was. Then now comes live video. And so what I'd like to show realtors and everybody out there is how important video is to your business. And we've got to get over the fear of using video and understand some really simple ways to implement it in our marketing, in our branding, some stuff that's free, some that isn't, but really just kind of tackle this from the ground up. So tonight's episode is basic video marketing. So I'd like, for those of you that have either done none or are doing a little bit, I want to build you up from the bottom and talk to you about the basic fundamentals of incorporating video into your real estate business. So Kara, let's jump you in here, my expert, because we were just talking about that before. And at the very beginning, I think it's always good as a marketing ploy to start and think about who is it that we're trying to market to. Absolutely. So you just said it so eloquently, knowing your audience. Talk a little bit about that, because it helps us set up why is it that we're doing video in the first place. It's all about the audience, right?
Absolutely. This is my favorite topic and my favorite thing. And I think it's my favorite thing to teach and talk about, because it really is the foundation of everything you do, and have, whether or not you have success as a real estate agent. You have got to know who you are talking to, okay? There are three different kinds of target markets. Demographic, which is an age group. Demographic, which is an age group, how much money you make. Psychographic, which is behaviors. Maybe it's military. That's something that would fall under psychographic. And then geographic, which we all know is an area, a farm, a neighborhood. So those are just kind of like the 30,000-foot view of three different kinds of target markets. But I actually teach a method to get all the way down to having your own customer avatar. I have my own avatar. I know exactly who I'm speaking to. And the purpose of that is because a lot of agents don't know what kind of content to post. They struggle with kind of a barrier, if you will. You know, they know they really shouldn't just be posting or doing videos on their listings, or, you know, just real estate, vanilla real estate content. But at the same time, they have no idea what else to post. So the first thing I teach people is to narrow down who you're trying to talk to, whether that person is, you know, between 30 and 40, whether they're married, whether they're female, male, what kind of issues they have. You know, maybe they're scared to move because they don't want to have their kids change schools. That's something that's a common problem. Maybe they don't want to move too far because maybe they think their husband's commute is going to be too long. So really kind of thinking, putting the hat on of your customer and thinking what kind of struggles they have, because guess what? You are there to solve those problems. That turns into what you make a video about. People that email you questions throughout the closing process from beginning to end, you know, prior to contract and all the way down to 6 months later when their water heater explodes and they want their seller to pay for it 6 months later. Those are the kinds of things that you need to jump on just your iPhone, and we'll get to this a little bit later as far as technical pieces, but content that questions that have come up along the way and struggles that you know that your target market has, that is when you turn that phone on and make a video about that, because those are going to attract people to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's an excellent point. And so for those of you that may have never heard that term before, your avatar is, if you could describe and take a picture and literally you are looking at and you are naming and you were thinking about the exact person that you're trying to market to, then you want to reverse engineer that and think about what is the purpose of this video, what is the medium of this video, and so on. And my tip on that is very, very simple. The statistics are out there. If you get the NAR report of the profile of home buyers and sellers, it tells you exactly who is buying and selling homes, to the age, to their gender, to their income, to their location, et cetera, et cetera. So it makes it very easy for you to understand who it is that you're trying to reach. As a great example, guys, the average person that is getting into the real estate business, I know those demographics. We watch them. I know exactly their age, their gender, their average occupation, whether this is a first job or a second job. And so then we reverse engineer that and we try to be where you are.
Yep.
So what you want to be thinking about is, where are your buyers? Where are your sellers? The purpose of your video, as Kara really brought out some awesome marketing terms: demographic, psychographic, geographic. In other words, who are you trying to reach? You should always think about that first.
Yep.
You want to jump on that?
I want to make sure that it's clear that just because you have that avatar and I really want you to develop it out, but everything that you put out online, it's not going to be so specific that only that avatar is going to be attracted to it. For example, my avatar lives in a popular area here called Arlington, Virginia, very close to DC. I know, her name is Gretchen. She has a high schooler, a middle schooler, an elementary schooler, and she's a real estate agent, but she's also a, full-time caretaker for her children. So, for example, because I know so many details about Gretchen, something that I may want to post on my, do a video about or do a blog about might be ways for busy moms to manage working and taking care of families. Like, those are the kinds of things that would be, Gretchen would like to read, but it doesn't just speak to Gretchen. It's just a really neat way to trigger some creativity for people that get stuck with what kind of content to put out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And listen, to take a step even further back than that, there are so few people in many markets that are doing it even at all, at any level, that it almost doesn't matter what you're doing, right? I mean, just the fact that I'm on YouTube with the shirt that says office hours is good enough over time. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that everybody wants everything to be perfect. They're scared to death. What if nobody watches? What if I mess up? This and that and the other. And so there's really two types of video. There's recorded video that's either been produced or been edited or whatnot. And then there's live video. Let's talk a little bit about that, Kara. Do they need to be perfect? Does the video have to be excellently edited? How do we get over that hump and just start putting content out there?
Okay, so there's a couple things here. So I started a video blog in 2015. I was driving down the road one day, and I knew it had been in my mind that I wanted to do this. I had an iPhone. I'm not terribly afraid of the camera, but I definitely was afraid of whether or not I would be able to speak, without stuttering, whether or not my makeup looked right, whether or not I looked silly, because I was going to basically pull over and do this video in the middle of a field with some snow behind me. And I said, you know what?
What's that?
You know what? I don't care. I want to get this message out, and this is me. And I embrace that. I think that that's important, that you embrace who you are, because the more authentic you are and in what you do, and if you have an idea, be brave enough to try to make that happen for yourself. Okay. So I pull over and I'm like, this is Kara MacDonald, your favorite title lady. This is episode number 1 of my video blog. And I went into talking about hashtags on Twitter. This was 2.5 years ago. I now have 75 videos. And if you can do the math, that is not how many I should have. I am not perfect by any means, but for the most part, I do it once a week. And Chris, I don't edit it. I only do, I probably should, but sometimes I take 3 or 4 takes to do it. But after practicing a few times, probably into episodes 8, 9, or 10, I got it. It's like you talk about stuff about, stuff that you are you know so much about this topic that even if you stutter just a little bit or have to repeat something a little bit or feel like you repeated something, it's just like a conversation, like your customer's in front of you. So that's how I got started. And I didn't even understand, like when I got started, how to upload something on YouTube. I played with my phone a little bit. Your YouTube account, you have one if you have a Gmail account. All you do is open the YouTube app. There's a little camera at the top. You hit that and you can upload your video. You can name it. It's really, really easy. And let me tell you, my video and an email that I send out on Sunday nights, when I go around in this area, because I do a lot of activities in the real estate area, market and space here in the DC metro area, everybody talks about, they tell me to my face, I love your video. And my video is just me talking. It's it's branding, it's it's making people feel like they know me, which is so crucial in the real estate market. I mean, people are going to be looking for agents online, asking friends, all that. You have to be top of mind. And being so relatable is an instantaneous way to become and stay top of mind, because people are going to remember that, oh, that girl that does those videos. I can't even tell you how powerful it is if we can just get over the fear part. And again, the fear part, it doesn't go away right away. Sometimes you have to just face the fear, walk through it, get through it, be willing to have, 10 or 15 takes. You'll get that right take. You'll get the one where just, you know what? This is as close as perfect as it's going to get. I look pretty good. I sound pretty good. I'm going with it. You post it. You just do it.
No question. Listen, we're talking about the real estate business. This is an industry where people put their faces on the side of buses and bus benches and billboards and all of these things for years. It's not that big of a leap to now take out your iPhone and record a video, because the question that I always want to get out there, and Kara, this is something we talk about all the time, which is ask yourself as a real estate agent, those of you that are part of Office Hours, you probably know what's coming, and that is, what makes you an expert?
Yep.
And the question is, and the answer to that question is not because I have a real estate license. It's because you are putting information out there that shows to the public that you are an expert. So a 3-minute video talking about the marketplace can go a long way. A 2-minute video talking about an open house or what is new to the market or tips for the home inspection period. There's a million options. Just put the content out there. It's on your mind. Put it out there, because it's reminding the marketplace that you're a real estate professional and giving them somebody to look after. So let's get specific and tactical here. Let's say that I have an open house and Kara, my favorite title lady, is telling me I need to use video. What would you do to help promote, or even during or before or after your open house? What are some easy ways that I can use video in that regard? What do you think?
Live, 100% Facebook Live. Facebook is giving a lot of precedence to people that are going live on Facebook. So you can go live from your business page, which I hope you have, and it's a great way to get exposure for yourself and your business page. And all you do is, if you don't know how to use Facebook Live, all you do is hit the little live button, which is right next to the red video button. It'll give a countdown for you, and you type in, before it gives the countdown, you type in what you're doing. So say, you would caption it just any way, like you would caption anything on Facebook. So if you were posting a picture of the house and you wanted to invite people to the open, what would you say? Open house today from 1 to 3, come see me, 123 Main Street, blah, blah, blah. Any questions, call me at this number. And then you hit live, it counts down 3, 2, 1. And then I would take it around the house. I would start out at the beginning of the house, at the front of the house. And I would say, I would do the camera holding it up to the house and saying, this is where I am today. This is my newest listing. I'll be here from this time to this time. Just like you would do if you were talking to somebody that came in the house. You would kind of show it, okay, with the phone. You would maybe take it in. If it's a really nice house and you love how it shows, go ahead and take it inside. Take them on a little mini tour. Here's a really neat trick that I learned. I might have learned this at Social Media Marketing World. If you want to practice going live, you can change your audience on Facebook to only me, which means only you will see it. And I think this is a great way to practice, because a lot of people won't even start on Facebook Live because they have no idea, like, am I going to be live right away? I don't know what's going to happen. But you can go ahead and hit live, change the audience to only me, and literally only you will see it, even if it posts. So you can practice and you can kind of go through the steps of doing a live video once, so that you know what to expect when you go live with people watching. But I think the greatest thing to do, one of the greatest things to do for an open house, is to take people on a little tour. And they want to see the neighborhood, show up and down the streets. If you're on a great street that's perfect for kids, or it's local to maybe a shopping center across the street that everybody wants to be at, you want to highlight what is so special about that neighborhood in addition to the house. Because as we said before the show started, Chris, it's not just about the house. People buy real estate for the community, the neighborhood, the schools, the shops, the proximity to to bigger cities, or whatever, you're the expert in that area. You know why people like to live in the area that you sell in. So highlight how that house will fit their needs on Facebook Live.
Absolutely. Look, I think there's three things I'd like to jump in and say real quick, because I think that you made some really good points there. And I think, backing up just a moment, Facebook is extremely important. And one of the things that we want to understand is, at the end of the day, if you're a brand new agent, if you're an agent on a tight budget, if you're wondering about marketing, Facebook Live is free. So what other medium on earth can you simply pick up your phone and start broadcasting to anyone and everyone your open house? I cannot think of anything else I'd rather be doing than make sure that everybody in my universe knows about this. So it's free. Facebook loves it. And here's the third thing I think is extremely important. Carrie, you touched on it, but I want to dive in a little deeper. If you're really afraid of being on camera, you don't have to be the subject of your Facebook Live. You can flip that sucker around and make the house the subject of your Facebook Live. So if you're like, man, I don't know about being on camera, then make your house the star of the show. It's free.
Great idea.
Your house is the star of the show, and Facebook loves it. So if you're just getting started in the business, or you're trying to gain traction on your business page, I can't think of a better way than this. And you can have a broadcast that's 2 to 3 to 5 minutes. Walk them through it. Make sure people know. You might be surprised how many people are looking around on Facebook on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon and may come rolling in your open house.
Yep. Or might just realize that, oh, I didn't know that Chris was an agent. I've been thinking about buying a house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just never know where your next lead is going to come from. Don't discount, especially these free services right now. And I don't think Facebook's always going to be free in terms of, getting as much exposure as it's allowing you to get now. That's not going to always be the case. They're giving you extra exposure now. They're giving Facebook Live extra exposure now because it's fairly new and they want people to use it. Once people start using it more and more, it's not going to be as obvious when someone is on live. So you've got to take advantage of it now to get your Facebook business page that engagement, which is, we can talk about engagement on another call, but engagement, the more people engage with your Facebook business page, the more Facebook shows your business page to people. So you've got to play that a little, like a tennis game. Like you got to put out content that your people are going to engage with. And when they do engage with it, you put out more of that content. Facebook is a business. They want people to enjoy their experience on Facebook, and they are reading everything that we are doing. And if they see that your page has picked up in the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks with engagement, your page is going to be shown to more people. And if you're putting content out there to target that avatar we talked about before, you're going to be getting more people just like your avatar. It's just a win-win.
Absolutely. And guys, listen, if you don't have a big marketing budget, there is a window here where Facebook Live, all of these services where you can broadcast across the earth, the world, through your phone without being charged for it. That is not going to last forever. Because think about Facebook now. People are just starting to really start to advertise at scale. You may think there's a lot of folks, but the numbers don't bear it out. And so, I saw a statistic recently that by 2020, 75% of mobile web traffic is going to be video. So like it or not, this is where the world is moving. And so somehow, some way, you've got to figure out a way to incorporate video into your marketing and branding. And while it's free, is a great time to cut your chops, to get out there and do it. At the end of the day, if it's like the worst thing ever, you could always delete it. One is better than nobody watching it. There's so many reasons that you should be doing this. And number one is keeping you at top of mind.
Yep. Because I have one other thing to add too.
Yeah, please.
A lot of agents that I deal with, we talk about, you need to be putting content out there in some way, shape, or form. Video is obviously the most popular way to do that right now. Blogging is another way to do it. Podcasting is another way to do it. Think about those three things. Podcasting and blogging, for me at least, take a lot of time. Video, for me, as I'm driving down the road in my many appointments all week long, ideas will come to me. When I'm at a stoplight, I jot that idea down in my notes app so that I don't have to worry about what the topic is going to be. I've got 4 or 5 notes going of ideas for videos, okay? When I have 5 free minutes, because after doing multiple videos, it doesn't take that long to do these anymore. My videos are no more than 3 minutes, maybe 3.5 minutes. I shoot the video, I'm done. That's my content for the week. If you sit down to write a blog post, and you're gonna probably overthink the blog post too, just like you're overthinking the video. You're gonna research it, you're gonna do this, and if you're not that great of a writer, you're gonna, if I still write blog posts, I just don't do it as often. It literally takes me 3 to 4 hours to write a blog post. I don't have 3 to 4 hours a week to spend on writing a blog post. So video is actually a time saver. Like, you are checking the box off of getting some content out there, and it takes you 5 minutes a week. You can't beat that.
Absolutely. Everything you just said, 100%. I mean, listen, there's nothing easier than pressing a button and being there, taking a picture or talking to your audience, anything that you're doing. So let's boil this down and get real specific. Okay. If I'm a local real estate agent, this is the greatest opportunity for you to put yourself out there as an expert in your geographic farm, in your neighborhood, in your local market area that there's ever been. So the one thing that everybody needs to hear is that being a local expert means you really need to know your market, have something to say, pay attention to it. I mean, as an example, if I've got but one listing or no listings, I can certainly be the person that helps you preview all the houses coming on the market. Come schedule a showing with me, put stuff out there. There's always something you could be doing, and something is better than nothing. So when we're thinking about all the different ways to find, you can go pay for leads if you even are there yet or have that budget, or you can start using video with all these free platforms. So talk a little bit about going local. What are some ideas? What could we talk about other than, market statistics and open houses and there's all kinds of stuff, right?
There's so many things, Chris. And this is really good stuff here. So you're in New Orleans, right? Mm-hmm. You're an agent in New Orleans, and a new restaurant opened up on, give me a street. We'll just say Bourbon Street.
St. Charles.
Okay, St. Charles Street.
Charles
a new restaurant is opening up. Why not go in there and go live and tell your audience, go live on Facebook, or just do a video if you're not comfortable doing live. Do a video. Maybe the manager's there, maybe the bartender's there. Make it feel like an interview, like you're a TV reporter almost. Gary Vee says you need to be the digital mayor of your town. I love that. The digital mayor of your town. That's what he talks about with real estate agents. That's what he said at Inman. So if I was a real estate agent and I was focusing on the neighborhood that I live in, there's a lot of new construction going on in my neighborhood right now. I would be going out and taking tours of those model homes. I would be talking with the sales manager about what kind of specials they have going on right now. I might make that into a 2 or 3-part series, maybe on a Thursday or Friday, in anticipation of people going out on the weekend. And I would also take that opportunity to make sure that they understand why they need a real estate agent to go in with them the first time at a new construction property, because otherwise the builder won't honor the relationship. At least that's how it is here. I might go live with my vendors. I might go over and talk to my favorite lender that does, if you're somebody that specializes in the military, maybe you go over and talk to your favorite person who really understands the VA loan programs, and how, go live with him for 10 or 15 minutes and talk about how, debunk some myths, how you don't need a lot of money to buy a house, especially as a VA purchaser, where you can get 100% financing. Going to local restaurants that have been in existence for 40, 50, 60 years and getting the stories, asking if you can talk to the owner, or when will the owner be there, or talk to the manager, and maybe their son runs it, talking to them live on Facebook and just getting the story. And here's the really cool part, is that when you post that video on your Facebook page, or if you're live, you can go back and edit it after you post it. You can tag those businesses. All you do to tag or mention a business on Facebook is type the @ symbol. And if they have a Facebook business page, it will come up, and you choose it, just like when you tag a person on Facebook. And what happens when you get tagged on Facebook? You get notified. Same thing happens with a business. I can't tell you how many times I've taught agents to do this. They've tagged local businesses, which all their followers are local. And guess what that local business does? Shares the post. That is huge. That is jackpot. if you're in a local restaurant where, you know, it's indigenous just to where the city that you're in, and you get great service, ask the waitress if you can, or the server, if you can take a picture with her, give a shout out to the restaurant and what you had, and just telling the story. They will totally share that post. And then if you have done your branding correctly and your Facebook business page, it's obvious you're an agent. Everybody that follows them is now going to see, you know, that Chris Donaldson, real estate agent in Louisiana, you know, showed some love to this local business today. A lot of, you know, and you're just gonna engender goodwill, and people love that stuff. They eat that up. Anytime you can pull some emotional heartstrings with your potential audience, you are going to be winning.
No, those are great points. If you were trying to
stop, I got more.
No, but that's exactly the point. And if you were trying to catch all those, the point is a couple of things. Let's back it up. Number one, notice there's something to talk about at all times, right?
All times.
It's the same problem that newspaper writers have. That's why there's sites out there where they're looking for people to be contributors and give them story ideas. So if you're a brand new restaurant or a brand new business and a real estate agent comes to me and says, I'd like to give you some free publicity, let's talk about your restaurant, what new chef is going to say no? They want attention. So you're helping each other, but you're doing it out of, you're being generous, you're maximizing your audience, and you're consistently being the source of the information going on in your city for your audience, so that you're staying on top of mind, you're paying attention to the marketplace, you understand real estate. At the end of the day, guys, let's remind ourselves of one thing. Everything we talk about, whether it's Facebook video, YouTube video, Periscope, Instagram Live, Instagram video, Twitter video, Snapchat, all of that is built for the purpose of leading to a personal relationship and conversation.
Absolutely.
So stop trying to complicate it and say, I'm going to replace that. No, these are just different mediums to bring people in to develop those personal relationships. Because you know what you're going to get? You're going to get that message from somebody on Facebook or on Instagram or on Twitter or wherever that's going to say, hey, I saw you thinking about that restaurant. We were thinking about that neighborhood. What do you know about it? Now you've got a lead. And that costs nothing but time and effort. Because any stage of your business, especially if you're brand new, you got two things. You've got money to spend on marketing and advertising, or you've got time and effort.
Yes.
Or time and effort. So if you have no money, use your time and effort. And if you don't use your time and effort, then you are telling the world you don't want to succeed. Yep. Because you're not willing to put in any of the coefficients in this formula. So what we're trying to explain to you guys is this is just time and effort. It's free. You all have cell phones. You've all got smartphones. Everybody does. And so these features are built in here. The platform doesn't matter. Facebook is the most popular. We're on YouTube right now, Periscope, whatever the case may be, guys. Just putting stuff out there is extremely important. And then that's second in the last month person that's mentioned Gary Vee. So I may have to reach out to that fella and see if we can work something out here.
Oh boy, good luck.
Yeah, no, I'm not afraid.
Not afraid either.
So here's the thing, real quick. All right, so we're about halfway through. So for those of you that are joining us, first of all, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending your time, your efforts, your energy, and watching Office Hours. We appreciate your attention. I love the fact that you guys want to learn. So I want to make absolutely sure you get everything out of this broadcast you possibly can. So if this is your first time watching this show, or those of you that have been here before, this is the part of the show where we're going to give you a couple of hardcore pieces of advice and then answer any questions from the audience if you have them. So as a reminder, 3 ways you can ask your question. And literally, myself and or Kara right here live, the reason we do the show live is to answer your questions, whether it's related to video or anything under the sun, marketing and real estate related. So use the hashtag #OfficeHours on Twitter. I know me and Kara like to hang out on Twitter, so use the hashtag. We will find your question there. The second way is that you can simply, if you're on desktop or if you're on mobile, wherever your comments show up, simply ask your questions in the comments. Or third, you can email it directly to me. I've got screens over here where I'm watching this stuff, chris@christalks.com, chris@christalks.com. So please, either on Twitter, the YouTube comments, or via email, feel free to ask your questions right now, whether it's related to video or whether it isn't. So Kara, a couple of things. Let's get tactical and let's dive into a few more things I wanted to make absolutely sure that we gave to our audience. And one of them, and what I wanted to explain, we talked a lot about Facebook, but those of you that are watching this show, as you know, this is a live YouTube broadcast. And YouTube has a special place in my heart. And the reason for that is simple. Number one, I started doing office hours before Facebook had a live feature. So this was the option at the time. And number two, I think everybody should understand that YouTube is the number 2 search engine in the world behind Google, which means the most searches online are Google and then YouTube. And I'm a big believer that when you're creating content and when you have all of this video, these live broadcasts, they are saved on your account. You can download them. It's your content. You need a hub for all of that stuff to live. And I think YouTube should be a part of everybody's strategy, because if you want to rank as a real estate agent locally on Google, you want to be on YouTube because Google loves YouTube because they own it. So it's an incredibly powerful platform. It's why I still use it for this show here. And what we have found is that over time, these longer broadcasts with more content get more and more hits. They show up more and more. And some videos that we did 1.5 years or 2 years ago are getting into the stratosphere. And then when you go to Google and you type something, we might be the first one to come up. To give you a great example of how easy, and Kara, jump in at any moment, but I want to make sure we talk about this. If you go to Google right now, everybody test me, and you go, how to do real estate math, you will see a video pop up that's usually either 1 or number 2 in Google, organic, which means not paid for. And all that was is I put a video camera up. In about 5 or 10 minutes, I explained our basic method on how to do real estate math, because I know what a difficult portion of the exam that is for some folks. And over time, that thing has gotten, it's thousands. I'm going to look it up right now, thousands of hits. It was simple. It took 5 minutes. It just came right from here because it's something I've talked about for years. And now all over the country, our audience as a school, people that are looking to understand real estate math, we pop up. So I think YouTube, as an example, if we have one of these videos, or we have a walkthrough
tool. Came up number 1 on Google and number 2 on YouTube.
There you go.
It's amazing.
And literally, guys, that was what is it, an 8 or 9 minute video, and one take. I just did it naturally. I mean, I had been working all day. I think I looked terrible, no professional lighting, and now there you go. And so, but you reach the point of critical mass where the more people that watch it, the more time, the more Google's like, that's a relevant video. So in other words, what I'm preaching is it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be relevant. Show that you know your stuff. And over time, if you're playing beyond the tip of your nose, the long game here, you're going to win by using these tools, because that's time and effort. That could have been my cell phone. It wasn't, but it could have been.
Yep.
Put it on YouTube. People will find it over time because it's relevant. So if they're looking for a Washington, D.C. real estate agent, and you're constantly using YouTube and Facebook and these various video platforms to talk about that neighborhood and real estate, over time, guess what? Google's going to go, yeah, that Kara, she's the title lady. We're going to make her show up in the rankings. And then you start to really win in the lead generation game.
And I want to say another thing is that, you know, if you commit to doing something like this, try to stay consistent with the method that you do it, and also stay patient. Like, it needs to be probably about once a week. It needs to be probably on the same day. It's just like your Sunday paper arrives on Sunday. You start to expect it, right? You're looking forward to it. You know you're going to have your cup of coffee and read the paper in bed, whatever, if you still read the paper. But it's coming, right? You know it's coming on Sunday morning. That is how my videos and my Sunday night email, that's what's happened. And you want to create that. You want to create such good content that people know and expect it to be there. And then if it's not, you don't want it to not be there, but if it's not there, you don't want to disappoint them. And I also want to say, as far as consistency goes, patience is probably the second most important thing. This method, if you have the right branding in place and you're doing content by video regularly, and you're putting it out on social media regularly, you're probably not going to see real results for at least 3 months. Okay, you're probably looking at 3 to 6 months. And this is also going to require you to be present if somebody comments on your video. If somebody, if you can't just put a YouTube video out there or post it on Facebook or whatever and then disappear for 36 hours. Somebody comes back and asks you a question, you need to know enough that if you have a notification, you need to be checking your notifications. You got to be present on these platforms, because if they do have a question, no matter how much goodwill you've engendered or no matter how much trust you've created, they need their question answered. We still live in extremely rapid fire required response time. So if you're not there, they're going to move on to the next person. So if you're going to do all this work, do it consistently. And I say all this work, but if you're going to really get behind this method, be consistent with it, have patience, and then be present. So that once the people come back and say something to you, you are there in live. I mean, if you're not doing it live like we're doing it now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, that's a great point, guys. In other words, what is the end result? Why am I doing the video? This goes back to what we originally started with. If it's for somebody to contact me about my new listing, or to go set an appointment, or somebody that wants a real estate agent, if they actually reach out to me and respond to the video, send a message, send an email, whatever the case may be, you got to be there. You got to engage with them. Be super thankful and understand that is a valuable lead.
Even if it's just thanking them. I mean, if they say something that doesn't even need a response, just say, hey, thanks so much for that feedback, Joe. Or, just know that they're, you just want to tell them, hey, I'm here for you. That's kind of indirectly saying, I'm here if you need me. I'm right here. The faster you respond, the better. People know that I'm going to respond quickly to things. So they tell me that all the time. Like, I know you're going to respond quickly, or thank you for responding quickly. They come to me first now because they know I respond quickly, because they don't want to have to go to 2 or 3 people to get an answer. So that's what you want to kind of create. If you can create that, it's money.
Well, absolutely. Listen, at the end of the day, this is a sales business, which means we are helping people solve their problems, and we're available. We are a counselor. We are there to communicate. That's a huge issue. And so, as you can see, I'm an LSU fan. Now, this is a little bit hard, but our now former coach, who's gone on to have a decent career by the name of Nick Saban, used to have a phrase that he first coined at LSU, which was speed kills on the highway and the football field. And I think you guys need to understand that that also means in lead generation and conversion in real estate. The fastest person usually wins, even if they're not the best option.
Yep.
So when you go out there and you post a video like today after office hours, I will be hanging out on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, because there's always those folks that may not have been able to jump in until now or later, or whatever the case may be. They send a question. Well, I'll answer it. I'm available by email. I mean, this is the audience. This is who we want to talk to. So in real estate, you got to be looking at as a lead that could be a possible client, that could be a possible commission check.
Yeah.
I mean,
how many times
these people
do you hear agents say, how do I get more leads? How do I do this? How do I do that? This kind of stuff puts you right in front of your ideal client, live, instantaneously. You've got to respect that. You've got to respect them while they're there, or they're going to feel disrespected and not reach out to you again. So I don't care if you're busy. You've got to be checking that phone every hour or so. You've got to, at a stoplight, or, once you park the car 5 minutes early, just check your notifications. Even if you can respond real quick and say, I'm heading into a meeting right now. Text me your phone number and I'll call you right after, something. But you've got to be there, because they will disappear just as fast as they got there.
Yep, that's exactly right. They'll go
Especially
on to the next
first.
agent. No question. So real quick, I also want to talk about all of the various methods out there, because we've kind of touched on them. And I think that if you're thinking, well, now we got Facebook, and then there's Instagram, and there's Periscope, and there's YouTube, which are kind of the 4 big boys in the streaming game. And then there's a whole lot of other ones. What I'd like to encourage you guys is 2 things. And we talked a lot about Facebook on a YouTube broadcast, which Google might punish me for. But what I want you guys to understand is, number 1, we talk about Facebook because it's where everybody's attention is. But number 2, what I want you guys to help you get over that hurdle, if you're worried about how it's going to look or what you're going to say or what you're going to do, whichever one of those platforms you use the most, that you're the most comfortable on. So if you're on Instagram every day, you love Instagram, well, start using Instagram video. It's a platform that you're comfortable with. Like me, I was on Twitter all the time. My first live broadcast was on Periscope, which wasn't integrated with Twitter yet, because I knew and understood Twitter and liked Twitter, knew the language of Twitter, knew how to follow it. So if you guys are just getting started out, use a platform that you're most comfortable with. If you're most comfortable on Facebook, use Facebook, because then you can start to figure out where your audience is, because you're going to have a different audience on Facebook than you are on Twitter, than you are in all these other places. But to get over the fear, just a suggestion that I have, any one of those, just pick the one you love the most and start using that.
Yep.
Because everyone will allow you to set up a free account. If you don't already have one, you're comfortable with how it works, right? You know where the buttons are, you know how to use it. So dive in using that medium. I think that's number one. And finally, I want to talk about Snapchat real quick when we're talking about video. Snapchat comes up a lot. And Snapchat is kind of going all over the place in terms of people's opinions, their stuff.
See what happened today?
What's that?
Did you see what happened today?
Yeah, with the influencers and so on.
I just saw that you can add links to it now, which blows my mind.
Well, Snapchat, like every other platform, at some point, they've got to take all the users and they've got to monetize. Well, the reason I'm on Snapchat is, number one, it's fun. But number two, I'm thinking about 5 years from now, where the 16-year-old that loves Snapchat may be looking to get into real estate school when they're 20 or 21 or 22. The demographics there, it's a land grab. It's real estate 101, guys. Get there before everybody else is there. Another reason I think Snapchat is great is because you can set up an account. If you're not familiar with it, the videos disappear after 24 hours. So you can record these quick little 8-second, 10-second, 12-second video clips. And if you're like, man, that was the worst thing ever, Snapchat automatically in 24 hours is going to get rid of that so nobody can see it. So it's a great training ground.
Yeah.
The talking in front of the camera, because literally the app itself is going to delete your video in 24 hours. So, but I think that if my demographic, if I was selling stuff to high school kids, that's why MTV was one of the first major.
I don't think it's just high school kids anymore. I mean,
well, no, of course not. I'm on there. I'm no high school kid.
I mean, I think I think they said recently like 18, well, of course down to 13, but all the way up to like 32, 33 years old, every one of those people has a Snapchat account. So this goes back to knowing who you're trying to talk to, right? I mean, this goes back to knowing exactly who your ideal customer is, and then knowing what platforms they are on. So Facebook is always going to be the first one. But really Instagram, YouTube, I mean, a lot of kids are on YouTube, just like they are on Snapchat. My son is 19. He's on YouTube all the time. So getting the message out via the proper channel is very important as well, because another thing I think a lot of people feel is overwhelmed. You know, there's a lot of things out there to stay on top of, to learn. You know, this is my job. I get to market and learn marketing all day long so that I can spoon feed the agents that I work with. You guys also have to sell real estate. I tell my agents this all the time because they're like, Kara, how do you find time to do this, this, and this? I said, I don't have to sell real estate also. You guys have to sell real estate also. You have to fit this in. And I can totally empathize with that. So don't feel like you have to be on 6 or 7 things. I always suggest 2 to 3 max, you know, at first, until you can start to, you know, if you like you were saying before, Chris, whichever one you feel most comfortable on, go hard on that one and then master that one, get comfortable, and then maybe you can take on another one. But you don't have to be everywhere. You just have to be where your clients are, where your potential clients are. So I think that's huge. And you, again, you just don't have to be everywhere. It can be so overwhelming. I mean, I have a hard time keeping up, and I try to keep up with 6 platforms for 2 companies. And I'm overwhelmed, and I don't have to sell real estate too.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's a great point. And I think for you guys, what you're hearing is, don't give up, keep trying, and realize, we talked about this the other day, that the average home seller or buyer, on average, the statistics bear out, somewhere between 4.5 to 6 months, depending on which study you look at. So let's average 5 months. If a seller is going to sell their house, they start thinking about it 5 months before they actually put it on the market.
Okay.
A buyer starts shopping and looking and thinking about buying a house 5 months before they actually put in offers and begin the negotiation process, which means today, if you find somebody on your video that wants to do real estate business with you, you have to remember they might be 3 or 4 or 5 months away from actually being involved in that transaction. So this is not retail where they're going to buy a t-shirt. This is, they are going to develop a relationship with you. And once you capture them through your video, make sure you stay in touch and on top of mind. That's extremely important. And also be patient. Remember, real estate is a different industry. It's not like buying groceries. Everybody's not doing it every day on a regular basis. So you've got to be thinking about that. It's numbers. It's other people. Who do they know? And when the time comes, they'll think of you because you're in that video. Kara, real quick, I'm gonna do this really crudely, but to kind of answer your question and also talk to you guys, if you've taken my class before, you probably know, but I have something I call the 2 pillars, and I can't draw, so I'm just going to show it to you. And the 2 pillars of your digital universe, to me, are very simple. It's your website and your Facebook business page, which means everything else that you're doing by design should be leading people back into one of those 2 places, because that is your controlled audience, which means I know who visits my website and I know who likes, interacts, and visits my Facebook business page. So when we're worried about all these different mediums and all these different things, it's kind of like at the circus when you see trapeze artists and they're swinging all over the place and they're doing all this stuff, but they have 2 big old nets that catches everything at the end. Even when they don't fall, they still jump into the net to end the show. So in your digital universe, the whole point is to drive them to your website, drive them to your Facebook business page, and then develop that relationship with them with that captured traffic. I think that's the most important thing. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. This YouTube is designed to get you back to the website.
Yep.
You know, I mean, that's how I look at it. And that's how I try to simplify it, because it can be daunting with all the stuff out there.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Awesome.
I don't have a lot to add to that. I mean, this whole conversation could be about websites itself. I mean, another thing I see a lot of agents making the mistake on is only having the website that's tied to their brokerage. I mean, it's so easy and cheap now to get an independent website where you can build some SEO. And if you ever change brokerages, you get to take all that with you. So just think about that. If you're, with one of the bigger brokerages and you think, oh, they've given me this website and it's supposed to be great SEO. It's not. And everybody's got the standard website and it's proprietary. So if you ever leave, they get all the information. And if your CRM is tied to that website as well, CRM is Client Relationship Manager, your database is tied to that website, guess what? They get all that information too. They own it. So you need to own your own information, your own data. Hugely important.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And I would offer 2 caveats there from my position. Number one is that make sure you know your state rules, your regulations on those types of things, advertising, marketing, whether you're allowed. I mean, there are still some states and some market areas, some MLSs that may limit what agents can do on the web as opposed to, so always check your regulatory rules first. And then number 2, make sure you know what your broker does or doesn't allow. And I think that Kara's point is excellent in that, listen, if you don't have a website, you need to get one. So even if that is a subdomain or a profile page on your broker's website, just to start out with, and then always make sure you're dumping your database information, the people that you're collecting, into another source. It's because those are your people. But if you don't have a web presence at all, you definitely need to have one. And then secondly, Facebook, your account is free, your business page is free, and then you can collect that traffic. Both of those places are extremely important. So just make sure you know what your MLS allows, what your broker's okay with. But as an example, if you're a member of the National Association of Realtors, they have cut a deal with, I believe it's Playster, where everybody that pays their realtor dues to NAR gets a free basic website through Playster. So if you are a realtor, which means you pay your dues to the National Association of Realtors, you literally now have no excuse not to have a website. It's included in your dues. Go find out, set that sucker up, and get yourself a web presence. Because if you ever looked for a local business on Google and couldn't find a web presence at all, and then you move on, you assume that they're out of business. Yep. What do you think your consumer's doing when they're looking for you as a real estate agent? If you're not out there online, with Facebook and a website, then I'm going to assume that you're no longer in business or never were or part-time or something.
And if you've got accounts out there that you're not using at all, it's better to not have them. Like I would, my perspective as a consumer is if I see something that's completely not being used, but is set up, somehow I translate that to how you are going to take care of me and how you're going to market me and my house if I have one to sell. And I also relate that to how you'll take care of me. If you're not taking care of your social media accounts, somehow, I know this is a bit of a stretch for some people, but I think it's true. If you're not taking care of your social media accounts, how well are you going to take care of your customers? So it's just, a psychology piece there.
That's it. No, that's an excellent point. And I think one of the places we see that happen is folks that just have their head in the sand and don't want to know what may or may not be out there about themselves in a digital universe. So here's a shot on that. Google yourself. Just take out your phone right now or open up another tab and Google yourself. And number one, you want to see what's out there about you because, oh yeah, that MySpace page that I forgot about from way back when.
On it you should not have on it.
And it's still there because I don't have a whole lot to replace it. Number one, as an example. And number two, if somebody's looking for you online and cannot find you, then it's going to be really hard for you to capture leads when people are looking for you, as opposed to people that aren't even looking directly for you. They're looking for the service that you offer in your area.
Yep.
So I think a regular practice of Googling yourself, making sure that it's easy to find you, that the information there is correct. It reminds you, like MySpace page, oh, I need to just delete this or take it down because I don't go there and there's stuff up there. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. I think that's an excellent point. Don't abandon your social. Don't abandon that because just because you don't look at it doesn't mean other people aren't finding it on search engines.
Absolutely.
Big time. I think that's a great point. Okay. I've got a couple of questions here, Kara. We'll kind of rapid fire these because I know it's been an hour, almost an hour, and I want to be respectful of your time. A couple of things that just got emailed to me. One question, we touched on it before, but they said the problem with video is I don't like being in front of the camera. Do you have any suggestions for people like me? So we touched on you don't always have to be the star of the video, right?
Yep.
Kara, do you want to take that one?
Turn the camera around. It's really tough to address this question because a lot of people have it. And I just want to encourage you that, if you don't like how you look in the camera, like it's how you look in real life. Like you're going out in real life. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you like how you look in the mirror before you leave, the camera is not as scary as we're making it. And it's so powerful that I want you to remember how powerful it is over how much fear you have of being on camera. A lot of people have that fear, and you're going to miss that opportunity to be unique and stand out while it's still a thing to be unique and stand out on camera. So some of the things, there's a couple of tips maybe. So, and this is going to escape me, but there are apps. You can download apps that will filter the way that you look. If you think that maybe, I don't know, maybe you're in your 50s and you wish you weren't, maybe you had a couple less wrinkles around your eyes or something, there's a couple of apps out there that you can film yourself with a bit of almost like a makeover. It's still you, but it's like Snapchat. If you're ever on Snapchat, you've got that one filter that kind of erases all your lines and stuff. Like if you're really worried about those kinds of details, find an app that's kind of you can still take a video on it, but it will make you look a little bit nicer, touch your skin up a little bit. If you're worried about how you sound, I have done longer videos where I actually write out my script and I tape it on the wall behind my camera. I've only had to do that a few times, but I just wanted to make sure that I hit all my points. I have had to retape those a few times because I didn't want to sound like I was reading. I mean, it's okay if you kind of reference it a little bit, but I did have to take those 10 or 15 times before I kind of got it. But other than that, you just have to go for it. Try to practice on Snapchat, like Chris said, and try to practice in the only me mode on Facebook Live. And I promise you, it's not nearly as bad as you think it is. It's really not. And you're gonna get good feedback, and that's gonna kind of build your momentum up a little bit once you put yourself out there and you start hearing how good those videos are. Then you'll get some good momentum to keep going forward.
Absolutely. That's great advice. And that's why I wanted you to answer that question, because large in part, it's usually the ladies out there that are a little bit worried and you know, they're a little sometimes self-conscious. And I 100% understand and appreciate that. So that was a great answer. So those of you that are watching, make sure you put in the comments, thank Kara for her time, for her efforts, for her expertise. I think she looks lovely. She's giving you great tips. Make sure that she knows, because all it takes is one of you guys to thank her, and I bet it makes the time worthwhile. I think we're way too into telling people when things are wrong.
Yep.
You'd be surprised how much you're doing right. Real quick, I'll give you an example, Kara, of how much you that is so true, okay? Our real estate courses online, I mean, for instance, my home state of Louisiana, you have to have 90 hours before you can apply to take the state exam. So our course has 90 hours of video and audio and all sorts of stuff that mostly features me. I've written a 600-page textbook on the principles of real estate. I know my stuff. Just the other day, I got a Facebook message through our business page at 3 a.m. with somebody telling me I said one word wrong on one slide in 90 hours. Now, you can't read the context of that person's voice and what they meant by that message. It may have been trying to be helpful, like, hey, just wanted to point this out. Or they may have been hey, I found you made a mistake and I'm going to point it out. To me, it doesn't matter. It makes me laugh, because to me, that means 89 hours, 59 minutes, and 58 seconds were pretty darn good. And the good far outweighs the bad. And so on that note, what I want you guys to really pay attention to and start doing, if you want reviews online about you, start actively giving positive reviews to others in your community, because it also helps your social status. So Absolutely. If you go to a restaurant and you have a wonderful experience, leave them a nice review on Yelp. If you go somewhere and it's just a wonderful experience, leave them a nice review on Facebook. That karma will come back and help you way more often than it won't, because when you're wanting those reviews, you're going to wish you had taken the 5 minutes and reviewed others. And Be careful, be wary about negative reviews, because those stick on the internet too. And I'll see that Kara runs around the internet ripping everybody on Yelp, and guess what? They'll find that. So start treating others like you want your business to be treated, and I think you will start to see that it will work over time. Any addition to that?
No, that is the golden rule, and I have lived by that for so long. I can't tell you how many times people have told me, you know, I do marketing for a title company, so we have affiliated business arrangements in this area, and I just know for sure that some agents are not going to be able to use me. But you know what? I want to help as many people as I can, no matter what. That's not the point. If you set out, Zig Ziglar says this all the time, but if you set out to help as many people as you can, you will get everything you want in life. And don't do it just because you want to get everything you want in life, but you know, just go out there and help as many people as you can, give as much advice as you can. Generally speaking, you're going to have to give away a lot of free stuff before you get a paying customer, but the universe will pay you back. It has paid me back 1,000 times over. And it's just because I wake up every day and try to help as many people as I can and don't expect anything in return.
Absolutely. And I think that leads to why you're so successful, the law of attraction, if you will. That's why when we were at this large conference, I wanted to run up and talk to you, because I could hear it and I could see it. I feel that I've got decent instincts when it comes to whether people are only in it for themselves or they're in it for the overall. And the reason Kara's here, those of you that are watching, you understand that Office Hours is all about you, because I don't want you to become a statistic. These stats that the real estate agents that don't make it to year 5 and so on, you will not be a statistic if you're here a part of Office Hours. That's what it's all about, because it benefits everybody. And I believe that some of you guys just need that little bit of attention, a little bit of skill sets, a little bit of effort. And I think it's going to go a long way. So let's close up the show. Let me remind you guys and thank you, number one, for watching. I love doing this show live because we can get these email questions and we can interact with you as we're broadcasting. Number two, if you guys would like notes and bullet points and details from tonight's show, all you've got to do is over there on the watch page at christalks.com/office hours. Make sure you're a part of the Office Hours email list. We keep in touch every week. You'll know when shows are coming up. You'll get stuff that people that are not on the mailing list won't. So as an example, all of these things we talked about tonight, you'll get an email with a breakdown with different things that we talked about. So before we go, Kara, would you like to take a moment and tell everybody here how they can find you out there in the digital world?
Sure. You can go to my website, which is www.yourfavoritetitlelady.com, and follow me on social. I'm Fave Title Lady everywhere. FAVE Title Lady. And I welcome phone calls, emails, anything you want. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to talk to you on the phone if you're not in my area, or meet with you for a free consultation if you are in the DC metro area.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Kara, for your time. Thank you guys out there for watching. Kara, don't hang up from the call. We're going to stop the broadcast. I will see you guys next week on another episode of Office Hours.